After celebrating the 10th mainline game, Diamond Head continued to push forward with new titles. Power Pros 11, released in July 2004 once again for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, sought to improve on the additions made in 10. Changes for the gameplay focused on hitting this time around. Making contact closer to the middle of the barrel now results in better trajectories. Pitch location also now plays a more important role in what the outcome of a hit may result in. Before, if a player hit a pitch in the strike zone square, there was a high chance of a good hit or a home run. Players now need to pick their pitches to get better results, with inside pitches easier to crush and outsides harder to hit. Pitchers who give up a lot of hits and runs can be knocked out if they continue to do so. The pennant mode again saw more real world scenarios added, with the lottery for the draft and overseas transfer options for free agents. If owned, a player can install the game to a PlayStation 2 hard drive, which helps speed up loading times. After being introduced in 10, My Life was heavily upgraded, making for a deeper mode. Players created in Success mode can be imported in if the player uses a crystal item. With 3 difficulties to select from the beginning, the game will get easier or harder depending on the player's actions. Hobbies were introduced along with friendships, allowing for more interactions outside of the games, leading to more unique playthroughs. These changes formed the foundations of what My Life would be like in future games. Success mode is set during university, following on from the high school stories of previous games, presenting a new generation of players. However, it's not a direct sequel and is seen more as set in a parallel world, as players who went pro from high school previously are now at different universities. Like before, there are multiple universities to choose from, with the powerful university being the only option to begin with. Like some of the Pocket games, days are split into multiple parts, allowing for more training or outside interactions to take place. The training screen has been updated to show how many teammates will participate. Friendship tag training returns, giving a massive boost if available, along with a nice help system. Not only can fellow teammates give a boost, but other NPCs such as girlfriends, coaches and scouts have this potential to give a bonus. Money is back and can be used to purchase a range of equipment and items to help throughout a playthrough. It can be earned by taking on part-time jobs or through events, allowing lucky players to stockpile the best items. In 10, if a player was the captain, they would take control of the whole team from the start of the 7th inning in a game, but it's been changed to the 8th inning here. This helps speed up the game, especially if the team wins often to progress through tournaments. Compared to 10, the experience gained from training has been increased, making it easier to make strong players as long as you win games. But the overall time is shorter due to there being less games per season, especially should a player lose games early. With the various universities to choose from, each offering different stories and strategies, there's a lot to play through and discover. There's a final team that can be unlocked, which is playing for the All Japan squad. Filled with many returning characters, you take on world teams while still trying to grow your player. There's just as many events and scenarios to see as there is with picking a university, but the difficulty can get tough. Regardless of whichever path you pick, the average playtime has once again been made shorter, allowing for fans to create more players quickly. The difficulty of making high level players is also more balanced out. The game overall is a step up from the previous versions, improving on nearly every aspect of 10, while not introducing too many issues or faults. The definitive version, Power Pros 11 Ketiban, was released in December 2004, again for both PlayStation 2 and GameCube. It adds back in a few modes missing from the original release, along with a few extra tweaks. Unlike the original release, players can be downloaded using the communication mode with a network connection. Network options were becoming something Diamond Head started to think about more with each new game. In an interview from the Famitsu Power Pro Madness Poem Ultimate Edition book with the game's producer Hiroshi Tanabuchi, he is asked what about network ideas we might see in future Power Pro games. He explains that the team are testing internally what can be done, especially with online battles, but is worried about problems such as lag and cheaters. However, he is excited at the prospect of getting it working, with the idea of holding spring or summer tournaments like Koshin, something we would see in a similar concept years later. The legendary Showdown mode returns, with there now being 5 different eras to choose from. While the mode itself works the same as before, it is slightly easier now to having 3 attempts per batter or pitcher rather than 3 overall. My Life saw some tweaks to the balance of gameplay, with Success mode adding Eiko Gakuin as another university to play for. Of course, there's also the usual roster updates and gameplay adjustments that came with each final version. Aside from the mainline game, the Pocket series continued onwards on the Game Boy Advance. July 2004 saw Power Pros Pocket 1 and 2 get released, acting as a remake of the original 2 Game Boy games. Combining both into a singular cartridge and updating the gameplay and graphics to the current standards, these served as a great way for newer fans to experience the older titles. The change to modern baseball gameplay compared to what was found in the originals also helped make the games slightly easier. There were also adjustments made to both games, like lowering the injury rates and increasing the amount of health restored when recovering. But there are still a lot of events and scenarios that can easily ruin a playthrough. Your starting stats are also much lower than the originals to make up for the easier training growth, which makes the early game harder. The secret war scenario is also here to unlock again. For those not used to the originals, most of these negatives won't make a difference, but for veterans, they may find it annoying that certain aspects are still present. December 2004 saw the next main entry, Power Pros Pocket 7, come out. As the final Game Boy Advance Pocket release on the system, there aren't many major upgrades from 6. The story this time takes a twist by incorporating a tokusatsu element throughout. Here the team gets saved in a knockout tournament by a hero in a costume who helps them win the game from behind. From there, this hero not only begins to play for the team, but also starts to bring in other members, slowly pushing out the regulars. You train and practice with the aim of taking your place back on the team and defeat these heroes who are taking over. There's many references to popular tokusatsu shows like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai throughout, with there even being an evil organisation and kaiju making appearances. The story itself is fun and makes for a lot of twists and possibilities in how it can all play out. The gameplay, however, took a step back. Hitting and pitching remained fine, but fielding was made worse in a few ways. The camera doesn't track balls to the outfield well compared to before, making it harder to make plays. The CPU also seems to make some weird choices when fielding, often throwing to first base for no reason. Shoulder strength also appears to be broken, as players with low ratings have cannon-like arms, making base running difficult. If played for the story aspect, it is enjoyable, but dealing with the gameplay issues can make it frustrating to grow strong players. The unlockable scenario this time is the Taisho Adventure Trails, another RPG style and part of the Showa adventure stories. Here you play as a detective trying to get out of debt by solving different cases. Using money won from fights or solving cases allows you to buy upgrades and more weapons. While difficult due to the cost of items increasing as you get further into the mode, it's not too hard to save the required money to pay off the debt. As stats only improve after specific events, it can be troublesome in the early parts, but as an unlockable mode it's again quite fun to play through and makes a change from the usual baseball gameplay. Released in November as a standalone console under the Play Poem brand by Konami, Hot Blooded Power Pro Champ is a plug-and-play arcade-style version of the series. Placing the console on the floor, it acts as a sensor for the real-life bat that you use to swing at balls on the screen. There's a few different modes available, from a standard exhibition against the computer, mini-games like a home run derby, and even a success mode. The game uses a mix of 3D and 2D graphics, and for a standalone console it looks and plays well. Physically swinging the bat, even without the feedback of hitting a real ball, feels great and works much better than expected. It only takes a few swings to get used to, and by having modes like success included, it means you're not constantly swinging unless you play the minigames. In 2005 saw Power Pros 12 release in July, again for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. It also saw Diamond Head change their name to Power Puro Productions along with a new logo. Quite a few modes saw updates to them along with some new additions. A championship tournament was added, allowing for players to compete in knockout contests in 3 different cups. You could face off against MPB teams, compete in Koshin against characters from previous success modes, or legendary teams. Custom teams can now be used in panic mode, and the lottery system used in the real MPB draft has also been included. Custom teams could also be used in Power Pro News, an online mode that allowed your team to play against other players' teams. You could also trade players while the service was live. Replacing the usual practice mode is Baseball Classroom. Here you're able to train in specific areas while being coached, giving you feedback on your practice. It's helpful for newcomers to learn the game and veterans to refresh themselves on the basics. Unlocking players in the home run contest is now set and not random as it was in previous games. Custom cheer songs can now be made, allowing for a greater level of customization and atmosphere during games. My Life saw a lot of quality life improvements made as well. You can now choose your lineup's batting positions as a pitcher, and manual stealing has been added. Resting has also been added, which helps maintain motivation and good form throughout a season. As long as you have friends in the same region, you can also hang out with them at any time. There are a lot of bugs and issues though that were introduced that offset all of these improvements. A lot of characters frequently ask for money, even when it seems the player is being treated to them as gifts or meals. The manager's AI can be very dumb at times, putting players in positions they have no talent in, or trading away players they want to keep. Winning games can also lower your team's form, making winning a double-edged sword. A lot of the shop characters such as the Bat and Glove Craftsman only live in Tokyo, so teams outside Kanto can only use them when they're on the road. The rank system was added in, which changes depending on the outcome of games and the personal items bought like homes, cars and furnishings. This makes it hard to grow your friends list, as higher ranked players won't talk to you at all, so it takes a lot of money and time to rank up. Success this time has 3 scenarios to play through. There's the Academy Edition, Soccer Baseball Edition and Underclass Baseball Edition to try out. Each of them use the new gimmick of developing buildings throughout the town. As you help build new buildings, more options for events, shops and bonuses can be obtained. Buildings can be demolished, so during a playthrough you spend just as much time developing your player as you do building the town. It can be frustrating to waste turns rebuilding or constructing new areas, but if the town is well developed, the training games are great. Friendship tag training returns again, but it's now harder to pull off. While the mode always relies heavily on luck to create good players, the extra management needed for the town means making strong players tougher than normal. This challenge doesn't detract away from the fun of the mode though, and the benefits offered mean that creating a strong player is more rewarding. The game as a whole is as good as ever, but even with the changes from 11, they don't stand out enough from the core gameplay. The usual definitive edition, Power Pros 12 Ketiban, came out in December 2005 for both systems, but was the last numbered entry on the GameCube. Fixing a lot of bugs that the original version had, it also made adjustments to success mode to ease the difficulty. Building conditions can now be seen, making facilities on the verge of going bankrupt easier to stop. Multiple buildings can now also merge together, allowing for more possibilities in the town. Doing well throughout a scenario will also give players the option to choose where to start making new facilities. Combined with using a power ticket acquired at the start of each playthrough, events can be randomly triggered, adding in more variety. This version came with the normal roster updates, but it made a point to highlight the Rakuten Eagles' poor season in-game. Finishing the season with a record of 38 wins, 97 losses and 1 draw, the game accurately depicts not only their low quality pitching, but their bad offense too. It can be seen as an unintentional hard mode if you play as them or use their players in any mode, but the overall removal of major bugs and the updates to success mode make this definitive version the better choice to play out of both options. Compared to previous years, there were only 2 other games released in 2005. The Nintendo DS, which was released in 2004, saw its first game from the series with Power Pocket Koshin coming out in August. As the name implies, you train up your high school team to compete in tournaments. You can choose from 931 schools throughout 47 prefectures. Each school has different areas they specialise in, from budget, leadership and popularity. They can also be customised where you can change their name, uniforms and their school flags. Unlike previous Pocket or main series games, this version uses different stat parameters when training your squad. This simplifies things quite a bit, and the option to train alone, with fellow players, or the whole team makes training easier to understand. Training as a squad will offer lower gains but allow for everyone to make improvements while training. Experience gain is also affected by a player's baseball sense, so increasing it greatly alters how quickly a player will grow. You can ask the manager or teammates to scout for new players should you wish to expand your roster. Even though the game is aimed at winning Koshin, clearing the game actually only needs your team rating to be 60 or higher. With this in mind, it's rather forgiving in not expecting you to have to win everything. The actual baseball gameplay is based on Pocket 6, which can be seen as a negative. The shift to 2 screens helps give players a lot more information and keeps the main screen from being too cluttered. But like 7, the tracking of the ball to the outfield makes it difficult to field. Maybe this is due to the scenario the game is based off, but hitting hard balls or home runs is quite difficult. This means that playing small ball and having good runners is important to counteract this issue. As a new take on the regular training style of gameplay, there's a lot of freedom which gives the game ample replayability, but the lack of any significant improvements that the new hardware offered over the Game Boy Advance is somewhat disappointing. Moving on from the Game Boy Advance, the Pocket series' next installment, Power Pro Pocket 8, came out in December on the DS. The gameplay took an upgrade shifting to 3D but still using sprites for players. This does look great, but it comes with some side effects which detract from the upgrade. The ball win in the outfield is massive, looking more like a softball than a baseball. The strike zone is also too wide, making it harder to judge balls and strikes. With the inclusion of more buttons on the console, it also brings it closer to the mainline games in how you operate it. The story this time has you control a detective hunting down cyborgs and figuring out the plans of a terrorist baseball organisation. Even though he's a superhuman, he's unfamiliar with baseball, so he joins a team to go undercover in his investigations. Training and playing against other teams help gather information as to the organisation's motives and plans. Added into the training menus this time is the option to study. As the player is meant to be a superhuman, studying allows to gain points to specialise your stats without normal training. There are also new mini-games added in which help bring a variety to the playthrough, each of which can be unlocked using Power Pocket points. Much like 7, the story is great and an enjoyable experience to play through, but with the gameplay still being off from the main series' quality, it can be annoying to do well in games while at lower stats. Another new unlockable scenario in the Showa Adventure stories can also be played. Playing like Minesweeper, you aim to dig up treasure on each map on your way to the goal without blowing up. Clearing levels will increase the number of client requests, allowing for a higher score to be achieved. While not as deep as 7's secret success, it's just as fun thanks to the easier gameplay. Power Pros 13 released in July 2006, this time only for the PlayStation 2. Like 12, there were a lot of improvements made throughout the game. Dependent mode had its length increased from 10 years to 20, giving players more time to make playthroughs. The amount of cheer songs that could be saved also increased up to 240. There is one big downside which many fans found disappointing, in that the catcher's window is now gone. As a batter, it's now harder to hit, relying on reflexes and skill to get on base, especially on higher difficulties. To counteract this, even low-level players can hit the ball far if they time up and aim their swing correctly. For pitchers, it's now more akin to the pitching system found in the handhelds, where you aim in the strike zone. My Life added a few new ways to play, each offering different experiences depending on what a player is looking for. The normal options of either starting a new career or an original character from Success are still here. You can also choose to be a player manager, giving you the ability to decide tactics, trades, and training practices. Championship Contractor brings you in as a high-profile player, aiming to win the Japan Series that season. Finally, Aspiring Active Player lets you choose a current MPB player to play with. While you can play up to 20 years in the normal, original, and aspiring player modes, you can only do 1 year for the other two. The addition of the dojo command to the main menu also helps increase abilities outside of training camps or games. It can also be used to gain special abilities, so it's a great way to improve a player. The ability to fast forward during the season can greatly shorten playthroughs, though it does leave the results of matches up to the computer. Aside from the Championship Contractor option, the others also have an atmosphere system. Depending on the results of games, this will affect the entire team's mood, which can either be a benefit or a hindrance. While there was always a lot of replayability in My Life, the different ways to play greatly enhanced this mode's longevity. Success's story takes place after 9 but before 10 this time. There are 4 scenarios to play through, which, like My Life, offer different ways to play. Each scenario uses the new spirit gauge in different ways. Powerful High School aims to take down their rival, but the matches use the spirit gauge during at-bats to decide the outcome. Teo Commercial High School makes players take exams to be promoted to the first team with the aim of dethroning the emperor of the school. St. Tachibana Academy High School is run by the student council and requires going to meetings to request new players, coaches, equipment, or training camps. Ashiko High School is split into East and West sides, with you joining the West team. By defeating the 4 leaders of the East team, you recruit them to strengthen your own team. There's also a water gauge that must be topped up frequently, otherwise players won't come to practice. The spirit gauge isn't just used for each scenario's gimmick, it can also be used during training too. Using spirit will increase point gains, especially if there are fellow teammates training at the same practice. It's a constant battle of managing not only the stamina gauge but spirit too, so it can be used optimally at the right time. Like the dojo in My Life, you can also now go to meetings. This is a very efficient way to gain strength and can be used exclusively to make an all-A player. Thanks to the variety of each scenario, there's again a lot of replay value to be had here. Even with the changes to removing the catcher's window during at-bats, this is a great game that has a lot to offer all types of fans. As per usual, December saw the definitive version release as Power Pros 13 Ketiban for the PlayStation 2. Once again fixing some bugs and updating the roster, the game also had some minor improvements. Due to fan outrage, the catcher's window could be switched back on for those who missed it. Success added in a 5th scenario, allowing you to play for Team Japan. This plays like a normal Success mode, but still uses the spirit gauge for training. It's a great extra for those who still wanted a standard mode for creating players in and enjoy the relationships with all the team members. Compared to the amount of upgrades that a definitive version usually brings, overall it can be seen as lacking in new features. But as 13 was a strong game to begin with, it only increases the quality of what was already available. Unlike the previous year, there were a lot of other releases. In March, Power Poké Dash was released for the Game Boy Advance and is the final game for the console. Aimed at younger kids, the game removes the normal baseball controls in favour of a card system. The understanding for this is that it will be easier for all people and ages to play. Even though this was aimed at a younger audience, the main story is quite dark. After attending a Moles baseball game with his father, a home run ball ends up hitting and killing his dad. The god of baseball makes a deal with the player that if they become the best youth baseball team in 5 years, they'll bring him back to life. After accepting this deal, the dad's spirit is transferred into the baseball, and you both join a downtrodden team aiming to meet their shared goal. The normal Success structure plays out as normal, with training to improve abilities while taking part in events and minigames. The card system is easy to understand and use, with the unfortunate side effect of making it quite boring without being directly in control of the action. Different cards cover different areas of the strike zone. As a hitter, you aim to try and overlap an area where the pitcher will cover, while the opposite is true for the pitcher. Should 2 layers overlap, a roulette begins which will determine the outcome of the hit. With good timing, it is possible to score lots of runs and get outs as the roulette rolls even as a pitcher. While basic from a gameplay standpoint, the story has the usual twists and humour found in other works, making it a fun playthrough. Finally, there's a secret success to unlock, which is another dungeon crawling RPG, but the difficulty is far above what the main modes level is at. Sony launched the PSP a week after the DS in December 2004, but it took over a year and a bit for a Power Pros game to be released on the system. that game being Power Pro Portable in April 2006. Displaying full 3D graphics compared to the DS version, this was aimed as a true portable version of the main series. The wider screen helps a lot with fielding, and the hitting is easier compared to other games. As the PSP uses UMDs, the loading speed can be quite long compared to the cartridge-based DS and GBA games. The mode selection is unfortunately severely lacking, however. Many standard modes like Success and Scenario are not included, which is disappointing. The choices of modes are Exhibition, Pennant, Home Run Derby, and Practice, along with other options like Sound and Cheering Songs, Data Management, Arrangement, My Data, and Portable Communications. The one new addition added is the Power Gacha found in the Arrangement mode. As there's no Success or My Life to train up players, here you can quickly create a player in the position of your choosing by using a gacha machine. There are 4 different machines to choose from which offer different potential stat increases you can add into your player. Not all stats are positive and may come with negatives included, so creating a strong player can take a lot of luck and time. Much like most of the first entries on a new system, the game itself isn't bad, but shallow when compared against other releases. March 2006 saw an unexpected release in Powerful Major League coming out for the PlayStation 2 and the final Power Pro game released on the GameCube. Rather than using the MPB license, this title has MLB teams instead. The shift to using MLB offers a welcome change and a glimpse into what leagues and teams could look like using the Power Pro art style. Like Power Pro Portable, the game is missing a few modes that have become standard in previous versions. These missions include My Life and Scenario mode. Pennant mode has been replaced with Season mode, granting players some more managerial options as they play. There's a shop where players can spend earned points to buy card packs, stadiums, player forms, and jerseys. Points are earned by playing most of the modes, so they're easily acquired. Cards earned can be viewed in the card database and show real-life photos and stats of unlocked players. From a gameplay point of view, there are some weird changes that make the game slightly more difficult than normal. The strike zone is wider on the outside in an attempt to recreate the MLB's real strike zone. The ball speed is also much faster, making fastballs harder to hit than usual. In an attempt to help with this, the sensitivity of the PCI is much higher, but many players found it worse after being used to the normal levels found in all the other games. Success offers 5 different scenarios with 2 different versions to choose from. There's an American mode and a Samurai mode. American mode is the standard version giving a basic salary, while Samurai mode adds in meal commands along with a higher salary. There's also a slight difference in abilities and skills you can learn between the two, such as different curveballs or other pitches. Both versions also take advantage of the new Guts system. Like the Spirit Gauge in 13, players can earn Guts from winning matches, positive events, or by selecting it as a training option. It can be stocked up to 5 levels. Guts is only used for training and will greatly increase the amount of experience points earned if available. Meals in Samurai mode offer extra benefits to stat growth. By selecting up to 3 different foods, you can further enhance stat growth as long as you can afford to do so. As the aim of Success is to get scouted within 2 years, making strong players is incredibly easy thanks to these additions. In both versions, it's more advantageous to train Guts until it's either max or close to, and then train the stat you want. As training Guts only loses a bit of stamina with no risk of injury, maxing it out and then resting becomes a common strategy. The experience points gained from doing this far outweigh normal training methods, and you can quickly boost stats like power or speed in no time. With the controls being more twitchy, creating stronger players faster means clearing Success easier. There's also a final cup that can be competed in should you wish to challenge it. Failing to win it will result in an instant game over. The difficulty level can ramp up dramatically depending on the teams that you play against, so aside from the challenge, it's often safer not to compete in it. As the first game using the MLB license, fans of those leagues will enjoy playing as their favourite team in a new light, but long-time fans might find the difference in controls off-putting, along with the ease of Success mode offering an unbalanced challenge. Gather Power Pro DS Koshin released in August again for the DS. Acting as a complete edition of the previous Pocket Koshin game, there are also a bunch of notable new features added. The main mode gives 3 different ways to play. Captain mode is similar to the original version but now has a story added in. Manager mode allows the player to take control of tactics, yearly scouting and training players. Finally, there's also the Wi-Fi option. This allows you to play either the Captain or Manager mode online in real time against other players, a first for the whole franchise. Manager mode in particular offers players a unique way of playing and training as you issue commands during games. This premise formed the foundation for other games later in the series such as Icon 9 and Fierce Battle Powerful Koshin. While improvements have been made to the gameplay loop regardless of which mode is chosen, the gameplay lacks any significant changes. Playthroughs also now take a considerable amount of time as the pace of selecting trainings and commands is a slow process. For those looking to truly develop their own teams for long periods, the game adequately meets that level of expectation. The final game of 2006 was Power Pro Pocket 9 released for the DS in December. The graphics were refined this time, with the ball now being a reasonable size and the camera not being as detrimental to fielding. The gameplay still has a weird feel to it as it has since 6, but it's also not as much of a problem as before. Like 13, even low-level players can hit the ball to the outfield easily, so training pitches is harder this time around. You can use the card baseball system found in Dash should you prefer to use it, rather than the regular baseball action. The story is about a wanderer who stops by a town where all the local shops are going out of business thanks to an enemy supermarket called Judgment. Taking it upon himself to help the shops out, he joins the local baseball team in an effort to defeat Judgment and their own team. It's a classic story that can be seen in countless old Japanese movies, so it's easy to understand each character's motivations. The new Banzai meter that is introduced allows you to power up for a set period of time, increasing training games and performance during matches. The story is once again the best part of the game, and the interactions between Judgment's manager and the players offer a lot of humour. Included minigames this time vary between a Smash Bros style fighting game, racing on emus and more. There are also 2 extra success modes. Space Captain sets you in a sci-fi adventure with the aim to gather forces to combat the evil empire. Travelling between different planets to gain allies, you can also take part in 3D space battles. Upgrading the ship allows for more weapons and abilities and is needed to take down the empire at the end. Shoshinji Arc has the player attend a temple during their vacation break to take part in vigorous training methods. Going to different masters will allow you to train under different conditions. As with most pocket games, the variety of modes on offer allow for a lot of different experiences, even if the baseball gameplay is still not as good as the main series. As newer consoles kept getting released, the volume of games getting made each year steadily continued to grow. In the next part, we'll see the franchise come to even more consoles, along with making its debut outside of Japan for the first time. If you've enjoyed this video and felt like you've learned something, then don't forget to leave a like and drop a comment below. But that's it for me, hope you enjoy whatever you're playing, and I'll see you next time.